Hello friends, welcome to TMX Adventures. Lisa here. Today we're going to use up some old fruit. So I've got some apples and they're looking a bit sad, and I've got other apples that are looking sad but some that aren't, and today we're going to use them up. Now there's lots of different ways I can put them to use so they don't get wasted, and with a Thermomix it becomes really easy. So if you had apples that needed using, what would you make them for? Put it in the comments today as you're watching along. Thanks to those of you who are saying hi, it's lovely to see you on. So today I'm going to do something a bit different. Like sometimes I stew them, sometimes I puree them, sometimes I use them in something like, oh, I'm giving you the answers to what I want in the chat. I'll just stop saying what else I do. Cookidoo is great though, right? Type in apples and you're going to come up with heaps of options. Today I'm going to use them for fruit leather, okay? So we're going to actually make like a puree with them. We're going to cook it up into something like an applesauce, and then I'm going to put it on the dehydrator trays on some baking paper, because I've also got in there some bananas that were getting overripe, and I've also got in there some beetroot. The kids wanted to have some dehydrated beetroot, and it's ridiculously expensive to buy that as chips at the shops. So we've put that in the dehydrator already. Now I'm doing it manually because I don't think there's a recipe for it anyway. So you're going to have to learn something today, and you can do this in a TM31, a TM5 or a TM6. I'll bring up the scales so you've got a point of reference, because I do know some of you guys like to follow along to that. Now I've already prepped some apples. I'm leaving the skins on, and we're going to put that in. That's about 400 grams. I'm just going to prep these last two, and while I'm doing that, if you're not already a subscriber at TMX Adventures, jump over there and subscribe, because I'm going to put a newsletter out in the next couple of days. I haven't put a newsletter out in a couple of weeks before I knew the TM7 was on its way, because interestingly I had named it, is a TM7 coming, or something like that, because it's the most frequently asked question I've had so far this year, more than any other time, which is just quite funny in hindsight. So I'd actually named it something like that. So I'm going to do a bit of an update for those of you on my mailing list about what's going on. So yeah, keep an eye on your inbox. And of course, there'll be some recipe downloads and some videos and things like that. That extra stuff I try and give you guys, add value to you, so that you can get more out of your Thermomix. So I'm just cutting around the ickiness, okay? And you can see how much is going in. I don't ever take the skin off my fruit. I wash it, yes, but I don't peel it, because who's got time for that? By the way, the peeler doesn't take apple skins off, okay? They're too waxy and thick. So your peeler that's coming with the TM6 at the moment, right? So if you buy a TM6 at the moment, it's currently on the run-out deal, and it's while stocks last, but it's coming with a second bowl, a peeler, blade cover, a cutter, a spiralizer, a glide board, and 12 months Cookidoo subscription. So phenomenal deal at the moment. If you want to take up that offer, you live in Australia, okay, this is for Australia customers, then either head over again to my website, there's a buy now, and it'll be all added automatically to your cart, or just get in touch if you've got questions, okay? Love to hear from you. I just have that moment of, where is a lid? You know those where is a lid moments? Yeah, here we go. All right. First things first, we're going to chop this down. Excuse me while I grab the lid. Looks like it's been cooked with. That's all right. I think it's, yeah, it'll be fine. It's on the top. So we're going to spin this up to speed. Now, if you're not sure how the chopping on a TM31 or a TM5 works, I would say use speed 5. Okay, but on a TM6, this might be something that you haven't thought about, TM6 owners, and maybe you use it all the time. But there is a chop mode. Can you see the chop mode here? I'm going to click on that, and then it's going to come up with some options. Now, I said I was going to do this manually, so I'm just showing you the fact that you don't have to know it all. Before we had this mode, I actually did a series on YouTube completely on chopping and how I know what speed to use for what, okay? I was in the caravan traveling Queensland at the time, and I did videos for you guys. But if you're not sure, there's a chopping thing. And look, it's even got apples. You see that? Very first one says apples. It's got a whole lot of stuff in this list. Do you have 100 to 300 or 350 to 600 cut into quarters? Well, mine's thirds, but that's okay. You can click on that and look at the bottom of the screen. It says 1 to 3 seconds, speed 4.5. Look at that. How cool is that? So when you click on it, when you go set, it presets that, and it says turn speed selected to 4.5. Like, you don't have to think when you've got a Thermomix, and that's what I love, okay? It makes it easy. I don't have to think hard. So now I'm going to spin it up. Give it 3 seconds. Now I am anticipating I'm going to need to give it longer. This will be not chopped enough, okay? And you could repeat that step, but I told you this was about manual making. So I'm going to close that, get rid of that. See, not chopped enough. You could cook it like that, but I want to make this cook faster, and to make it cook faster, you want it finer, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to spin it up to speed 4.5. I'm going to listen to it. Looking for something that resembles a grate. Now, if you don't have the skins on, maybe you've peeled them for some reason, it's going to chop faster, just so that you know, okay? But speed 4.5, speed 5, it took 8 seconds plus the 3 seconds, so about 11 or 12. But you know what? If you've only got 2 apples, you're going to have less time to mix. Now, I also said I was putting it into a dehydrator today. If you don't have a dehydrator, that's okay. You can do it in an oven, okay? So don't feel like you have to have a dehydrator. So now I just need some water to cook this in. So I'm going to put 100 mils, maybe 120. Okay, so about half a cup, I guess you could say, in the old school way of doing things. And I'm going to put in, no, I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to cook this for, let's go 10 minutes to soften it all up. It should soften beautifully in 10 minutes. Again, if you've got half as much of this, maybe just 2 apples, it's going to take you 7 minutes, yeah? Half that time. So 10 minutes, and I will reassess it in 10 minutes. Varoma, by the way, if you've got your Varoma on top, then you need your simmering basket up here. Mine I might need to dig a spare out because we've cooked lots today already with the Thermomix. I think we're up to our 4th dish with the Thermomix. So I've got one over there. Actually, I will grab it. Hold that thought. Here we go. There we go. 10 minutes Varoma, speed 2, and that'll cook off nicely. I'm going to come back to those of you on YouTube tonight and show you the second and third part to this recipe. But yes, it is so incredibly simple. At the end of this time, you could puree it to freeze it and then make it into a Fruity Dream ice cream. You could puree it and jar it up. You could puree it and turn it into leather like I am. You could keep it as it is and use it in pie. Make a pie with it with a crumble on top. There's so many things you can do to make sure there's no food wastage when you've got a Thermomix. Okay, welcome back. So it's been 10 minutes. It's quite hot. And look, it looks fairly cooked. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add to it 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now this is optional, okay? Obviously this is going to sweeten it up a bit, but I am going to today add that. Only because I find store-bought apples aren't that sweet. And then we need a teaspoon of cinnamon. You don't have to, but cinnamon's quite nice with apples, right? And even if you were using this for a pie filling or something like that, puree, I would say put it in as well, okay? You could put a squeeze of lemon juice. I don't have any, so I'm not going to. I am going to scrape down these sides, okay? You can see it's getting beautifully cooked. Now at this point, I'm actually going to puree it. Now you could cook it a bit further, but I just want to see what this puree is down like and whether I need to add a bit more water to it. So I'm going to spin it up to speed 5 and then we go gradually up to speed, okay? You'll see it saying can't heat, that's okay. To actually smooth something out, usually. Okay, so let's see what it's like after 30 seconds. Yum, that is pretty good. I'm happy with that. That is smooth, okay? So let's get the bit off the lid. Now I'm going to be putting it out on a piece of baking paper so I can then put it on the dehydration rack. So I'm going to spin you around. You saw me grab out the baking paper, and can you see my little sidekick in the kitchen down there? I'm not sure why. Maybe they're wanting some more food today. Now, the trick to dehydrating well is to not make it too thick. Okay, if we make it thick, it struggles to dry out and become leathery. So we're looking for something, and bearing in mind on that note as well, it is going to dehydrate thinner than you start off with. So at the moment, that's not enough mix. So let's see, I'm not actually sure how much to put on this, but I don't want to go bigger than my thing that goes in my dehydrator. I can take some off if I need to. Now, if I can see through it, I'm getting a bit thin. Okay, so looking at that there, too thin, but that's okay because obviously I'm still in the process of spreading it. You want it about 1 millimeter thick, but yeah, not too thin. So just pushing it out to the sides. Okay. Now, I don't know how long I'm going to do this for. I will do it overnight because that's what everything else is going to be in there. But really, it's a bit of a trial and error. You're trying to just look for when it is nice and rubbery and ready to go. So a little bit of movement to it, yep, not too dehydrated. I mean, if it's fully dehydrated, it's chips. No one is going to complain about that, right? But I'm kind of, I'd like to aim for roll-ups. Okay, we'll see. As I said, it's going to be overnight, so if it happens to go too far, then well and good. That's just what it's going to be. So I'm just making this kind of a square so that everyone gets nice bits when we come to the end of it. You don't want to cut it up and someone gets a triangle. That won't be even. Okay, so there you go. That is about the thickness that I will put it, I'm reckoning, aren't I? The thickness that I'll put it through the dehydrator at, bearing in mind that as it dehydrates, it loses water, it gets thinner, and you will be able to slightly see through it by the time it's done. So I'll get this in the dehydrator. If you're doing it in an oven, the lowest setting your oven can go, usually about 70 degrees is a good amount. Mind you, okay, I shouldn't say lowest. Your oven might ferment on 37, so I shouldn't say that. 70 degrees, let's go with that. If you can go 70 degrees Celsius and then put in the oven overnight on a tray, and then tomorrow it's either going to come out chippies if we've overdone it, or it's going to come out like leather. Both will be delicious either way, so it doesn't really matter. But I will share the outcomes of this tomorrow. You won't be getting a picture, sorry guys, beginning and end of what this actually looks like, the final product. You'll have to keep an eye out tomorrow. I'll share that tomorrow with you so that you know what this looks like. But otherwise, have a lovely rest of the day and weekend. Something's falling over in the breeze here at my place. If you need support with your Thermomix, please don't hesitate to reach out. I love to hear from you. Remember to make sure you are subscribing over at TMX Adventures so that you stay up to date with latest news. But otherwise, take care, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.